The knowledge of orchestration, the art of selecting and arranging particular instruments for a particular sound, can be a powerful tool for any composer. Having discussed strings in previous episodes, we now move on to the ever-versatile and sonically diverse woodwind section. You're listening to Music Student 101. Here are your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Matt. What's up?
We are back.
We are back. Welcome back to Music Student 101. I'm Jeremy Burns.
Hi, I'm Matthew Scott Phillips.
Matt, back in the 90s, not the decade, but like in our episodes.
Yep,
right
yeah.
I think it was right before COVID. We did an episode on orchestration.
Yes.
2 parts for string.
2 parts for strings, yeah.
And then we just kind of let a few years go by, it seems. A couple of years go by.
We have a bad habit of that.
Don't we? But hey, we're going to pick it back up today. We're going to talk about orchestration for woodwinds.
Indeed.
And before we get into the social section, do you want to briefly kind of give a elevator pitch of what orchestration is?
Orchestration is the art of writing for orchestra or larger ensemble, wind symphony or the like, in such a way that it sounds good, in such a way so that every instrument is doing what best contributes to the overall whole, and the result is a pleasing sound out of these ensembles. It is as much an art as a science.
Yeah.
Some composers were famous for their orchestration. Some were famous for not having great orchestration. Yeah.
No names. We're not going to share any names.
Well, yeah. We're not going to name any names here. Chopin, but
wait, he was good at it or no?
He. I've heard people say that Chopin was not a very great orchestrator.
Interesting.
And all the compositions you can name by Chopin are all solo piano.
And they sound fantastic.
And they sound amazing. At the piano, he was an absolute genius. Yeah, but.
But there's not a lot of Chopin quartets or symphonies, are there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a piano concerto. You never hear that one played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it. And on the other end, people like Mahler, people like Brahms, were, sort of famous for their orchestration. Some people feel like Mahler was as good an orchestrator as he was a composer. So it's an art as much as a skill set, but there are a few basic things to know to get you started in writing for these bigger ensembles: orchestra, marching band, wind symphony, whatever you feel you need to do, and we can start to tackle those.
Yes.
Have started to tackle those. We can continue to do so.
We will. Because there's also percussion, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Other elements of the orchestra. Brass.
Yeah.
We'll get into brass at some point.
Strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion are thought of as sort of the 4 cardinal points of the traditional classical orchestra.
Perfect. So we're already getting halfway into it. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get further into that, but first let's have our social moment.
Let's do that.
We do have a new review.
We do. And our new review is from R. McKay, who says, exceptional, well worth the listen.
Thank you.
R. McKay says, I studied piano when I was younger and resumed after nearly 40 years. I quickly discovered how much theory I did not know. Music Student 101 is equal parts entertaining and informative. I cannot recommend it enough.
Isn't that great, man? And you know what? R. McKay is kind of a sample of a great deal of our listeners. It seems like a lot of them are getting back into music after a long hiatuses.
And we love that.
Yeah.
We love helping ease your transition back into this great art of ours.
Yeah. So when you give us reviews, it kind of boosts our presence, and that's one way to support us if you don't have the financial means to do so. So yeah, get on there and share the love, and also it'll make us more available to other musicians.
Absolutely, and we thank you for it.
Yeah, totally. So thanks again, R. McKay, for that review.
Thanks again, R. McKay.
Now, if you do want to support us financially, there's a site called Patreon.
Yes, you've probably heard of it.
And we've spoken of it before. Patreon.com/musicstudent101.
Right.
And you can get up there and you can see where there's different tiers.
Different tiers, cool stuff, Patreon-only episodes.
Potential coffee mug or
Coffee mug.
tumbler, whatever I have handy. And so we got a new Patreon patron that we want to thank.
Excellent.
And this is going to be Alan Thompson out of Los Angeles, California.
Wonderful. And Alan says, I joined you guys as my way of showing support for all you do.
Mm-hmm.
I find your podcasts both entertaining and educational, something few can do. Well, we try. We try. Yeah. Actually, we don't try. This is just kind of...
On occasion, I'll write a dad joke.
On occasion, we'll write... This is really kind of just us, right?
Yeah.
This is just kind of a slightly more formal version of the way we just converse.
Yes.
Anyway.
Considerably more formal version.
Right, yeah. Alan continues, I love the intro-outro music and how it relates to the topic discussed in the show. Please keep up the good work. And you have our good Jeremy Burns to thank for that. He spends tireless hours writing or finding music that fits the topic of the show. And pretty much everyone fits in some way or other.
Yeah, it's funny. It sounds like we got another vote for the Bumpers episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And then another Stephen May, one of our composers, that said something about that too. So it's looking kind of like that might happen.
Like an episode just of all bumper music?
Yeah, because one of our listeners, Eric, called in. He wrote in and was like, "I wish you would talk more about the bumper music and how it relates to
the topic at hand. Yeah. It's a neat little Easter egg. For sure.
So, anyways, thanks again, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
And then finally, there's no listener mail to speak of now, and that's not to say that we don't have any new messages, but we're trying to aim to use this little listener mail section for more for clarifications and tips and tricks and stuff like that. Music related.
Right. Yeah.
So if people compliment us, and that's great. We appreciate it. I'll write back and I thank them. But I'm using the compliments for the reviews, right?
Yeah.
Saving those for the reviews.
So enough of the back patting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's actually get into some music stuff here.
Getting right into it. Yeah. This is a record, I think, for getting into it.
Yeah, it really is. That was what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, and we got two kind of short episodes. We're gonna divide this up into 2 parts.
Yes,
because otherwise it'd be just too long.
It'd be a lot.
Okay, so let's begin, shall we?
Let's begin.
This is straight out of your lecture, Matt. So just take the floor.
This is straight out of my orchestration lecture. I teach orchestration once a year.
Mm-hmm.
At one semester a year, I teach it the whole semester, and this is straight from what I teach my college students.
Mm-hmm.
And we are focusing in on the Woodwind choir today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, if you remember all the way back last time we talked about orchestration, we talked about the string family.
Mm-hmm.
The violins, the violas, the cellos, the double basses, right, that make up sort of the backbone of the orchestra.
Yeah.
Right? So they're the ones that are always playing, right? They're sort of... traditionally anyway, they are what is sort of the real sort of center of what's going on in a piece of music written for orchestra.
Now let me go ahead and do my first digression.
Okay, digress away.
Because I don't think we covered piano in the strings episode. So does that count in orchestration? Does that count as percussion or what?
Funny you should ask about the piano. So
even though we're not talking about the piano today, we're just gonna make this.
Yeah. Strictly speaking,
mm-hmm.
the piano is a percussion instrument.
Okay, there we go.
In that there are hammers that hit strings, and that qualifies as a percussion instrument, rather than a string instrument, which you're either plucking or bowing directly.
Yeah, right.
And so is similar in approach to like the marimba, where a set of felt hammers hit metal bars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so strictly speaking, it's a percussion instrument. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, knowledge is knowing a tomato's a fruit, wisdom is keeping it out of your fruit salad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sometimes, it's like knowing that the piano, strictly speaking, a percussion instrument is great. Asking a percussionist to play piano is maybe not all. Maybe you want a pianist to play the piano, right?
Right.
Don't ask your percussionist to put down the crash cymbals and go over and play piano for a little while. That might That might add some stress to that person. Maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah. But yeah, so strictly speaking, a percussion instrument, but take that with a little wisdom, right? The piano really is kind of its own thing in terms of, what it does musically.
Good clarification.
Thank you.
And I have to remember to include the piano when we do our percussion orchestration episode.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's in there.
That's in your notes, huh?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. So anyway, but today we're talking about the woodwind choir.
Mm-hmm.
And the woodwind choir traditionally has provided sort of coloristic or timbral contrast to the strings. It was the very second choir that was ever added. So the strings came first. In the 16 and 1700s, the orchestra, quote unquote, was really just a bunch of strings. Going all the back to Louis XIV's 24 violins of the king. And he had assembled all of these, not just violinists, but violinists and violists and cellists, to play for him. So the string orchestra was the first to come along. The very next to come along in the era of Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven was the woodwinds, right? When we say woodwinds, what does that mean? All woodwinds produce musical notes via the vibration of a column of air, right? So what you're hearing vibrating is not a string, but basically a column of air. You're blowing into it, right? The amplitude of that column of air is expressed through a tube with a conical opening. So you are blowing air through a tube, right? Holes are cut in this wooden tube.
Yes.
And as you are pressing down on these holes, either, back in the old days, those holes were literally holes cut in the wood. Nowadays, they're valves, right? They've got all this mechanical to stop it really, really good. And, machinery to make it easier so you don't need to make different combinations of holes. So in doing that, you're lengthening and shortening that column of air. Ergo, you're changing the pitch of the instrument, right?
And when you say amplitude, you mean the loudness?
Right.
Or how it radiates sound?
Radiates sound.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah. Eventually, these valve mechanisms are constructed. So, these holes are cut exactly mathematically to keep them in proportion, so that we can play the chromatic notes of the Western tonal environment. And then, later, they added valves so you could easily reach all of them, right?
Yeah, and we talked about how they found this griffin vulture ulnar bone or something like that, radial bone.
Right, yeah.
So these proportions were determined way a long, long time ago.
Yeah, according to the overtone series.
At least 30,000 years ago.
Yeah. So today, these instruments can play any chromatic note. They can trill, they can do tremolos, they can do pretty much whatever you want. They are exceptionally acrobatic, I call them. So they can, be in the middle of a run of 16th or even 32nd notes, jump an octave. That's no problem.
Okay, yeah.
That can be terrifying to a string player, right? Because they literally have to move their hand that distance.
Or put the bow over an arc, like having to bow.
Or arc the bow and do crazy stuff with the bow. Yeah, skip a string as they're bowing, right? And do stuff like that. So it's kind of stressful for a string player to do that. Not so stressful for a wind player at all. These valve mechanisms make it very easy to jump octaves, to play all sorts of crazy 30-second note, not just running literally up and down the scale, but doing arpeggiations and all kinds of stuff. Very, very acrobatic. Can play very, very fast.
Yeah, okay.
Can play very, very fast and very, very acrobatically, and that's a big advantage they have. And they also, as I said, sort of contrast with the strings. So whereas I may be getting ahead of myself, sorry. This happens in my lectures too, people. Whereas the strings are sort of homogeneous in sound, right, across the range. The difference between a violin playing middle C and a cello playing middle C is something you've got to have a pretty good ear to deduce.
Yeah.
The difference between the different woodwinds, the sound of a flute versus the sound of an oboe versus the sound of a clarinet, are all very, very different, and you can hear that, right?
Yeah.
So a big part of the artistry of woodwinds is what timbre exactly do I want in this particular range or in this particular passage.
How they shape the sound.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and working as a choir, they provide great sort of timbral contrast because they sound nothing like strings.
If you could use words to describe the sound of strings versus the sound of, give me some adjective. Like, I would say maybe lush for strings.
Lush, vibrant,
Vibrant.
resonant. Yeah. Whereas, adjectives for the woodwinds, or you almost have to use different ones for every given. The flute is very clear, very kind of low overtone sound in the flute, right?
Very pure tone.
Yeah, very clear, very pure. The oboe is very, the word all the music appreciation books use is bucolic.
Or nasal.
Yeah, or plaintive, whatever that means.
Plaintive.
Yeah, the plaintive oboe, whatever they mean by plaintive. It's a little nasally. It's a little more, if you know your sound waves, it's a little more sawtooth of a sound wave, right? Than a pure sine.
Is bucolic like kind of country-like or?
Yeah,
like
it means country, like rural.
rural. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Strange.
Yeah. Who knows? Well, actually, there's a lot to be discovered about these associations. But yeah, for whatever reason, clarinet is very thick.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the clarinet, it depends on what range of the clarinet you're talking about, right? It can be very thick or it can be very reedy and piercing.
Mm-hmm.
The bassoon is very very kind of hollow and warm,
Mm-hmm.
like warm and hollow.
Yeah. Deep, warm, hollow. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Rich.
drunken buffoon, right?
Rich. Is rich a good one for it?
Rich is a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
You can call the bassoon rich, sure.
Drunken buffoon.
The drunken buffoon.
And also, it was what Peter and the Wolf's grandfather, wasn't it?
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum,
Absolutely,
bum,
yeah.
bum.
Peter and the Wolf is a great resource if you want to learn more about what any of these instruments sound like.
Yeah.
Go listen to a good recording of Peter and the Wolf. That is great.
Who was that?
Prokofiev.
Prokofiev. Yeah.
Yeah. Go listen to that. It is great. You'll learn a lot.
Yeah. Or watch the cartoon. Disney had a really cute cartoon.
Or watch the cartoon. Absolutely, yeah.
They had a duck for one of the.
Yeah, and oh man, there's so many good. Like in Andy Griffith, the bassoon was always Otis.
Okay.
You remember Otis? He was the drunk that would come in and lock himself in the cell at night to sleep it off.
Yeah.
In Andy Griffith, he was always represented musically by the bassoon.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even notice that. I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I think of the bassoon as the drunken buffoon, quote unquote.
I can see that.
Yeah. That and Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, which we don't have to get into. Yeah. So yeah. Basic overview of the woodwinds.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many different kinds of woodwinds.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of them, especially the ones that are played in the modern era, fall into a few distinct families.
Okay.
And it's important to understand these families because they fall into these families based on exactly how they're producing this column of air and what their general timbre and construction is, right?
Very good.
So there is the flute family. And in the flute family is the flute, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Also the piccolo, which is a smaller flute that actually plays an octave above what is written.
Okay.
So it's very high, very whistly, and very piercing.
Mm-hmm.
There is the alto flute, which is like the flute, but a little bit deeper.
Aha.
So a little bit less at the pure tone, a little bit more warmth and richness. There's a bass flute.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a contrabass flute, which can really only play staccato. It can really go whoop, 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 because of the massive amount of air it takes to get a note out of this huge instrument. This instrument is bigger than the person playing it usually. It's like 6 feet tall, with these giant valve mechanisms, and you can really just go boom, 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 boom.
It probably holds about 50 times more air than the lungs.
Oh, yes, exactly. It holds more air than your lungs hold. So you really just have to and it
Work really hard for that thing.
It does.
It's funny that you since you say the choir.
Yes.
What I'm hearing in the flute family is there's almost like a perfect SATB kind of. You said there's a contrabass flute or no?
There's a contrabass flute, yeah.
You got contrabass on the lowest, and then you got the bass flute. And then you got the alto flute.
Then the regular flute.
So the regular flute's almost like the tenor.
Yeah, or the regular flute is really more of the soprano, we're maybe missing a good tenor unless you want to think of the alto flute.
Oh yeah, maybe so. But then that makes the piccolo the
The high soprano.
yeah, okay. First soprano.
Yeah, first soprano. Yeah. All of these families will kind of fall generally into sort of an SATB kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, which is great because they all evolved from the Renaissance idea of the consort, right? So back before there was flutes, there would be recorders, right? And we'd been through several centuries where all music was sung essentially. And when these things start coming along, the recorders come along, and because everybody's used to the idea of soprano, alto, tenor, bass, you have a soprano recorder and an alto recorder and a tenor recorder and a bass recorder, right? Same thing for the oboe, the hautbois in France, right? You know, so you kind of had these consorts of just soprano, alto, tenor, bass versions of the early instruments, out of which our modern instruments evolve. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of sort of general SATB sort of range distinctions.
So I don't need to make that analogy for every one of these that we do.
Well, it's absolutely going to hold true.
Yeah,
I should also say that this is by no means an exhaustive list of all the instruments that are in all of these particular families. These are just some of the more widely known general ones, right? There are other kinds of flutes, right? But these are the sort of the basic ones that you see all the time and need to know about because you might have to write for them if you want to be an arranger or composer writing for an orchestra.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So those are the flutes. Then there's the oboes,
Which I'm learning to really love.
which we're learning to really love. One of the musicians in the ensemble that Jeremy and I are both playing in, the incomparable Emily Zhang. Yeah, she plays oboe beautifully. Right, and we're both learning a lot about how awesome this instrument can be.
Yeah.
So in the oboe family, there is the oboe, obviously. Right. There is the oboe d'amore.
The oboe of love.
Oboe of love, which is essentially kind of an alto oboe.
Okay.
Right. Then there's the English horn, also called the cor anglais, which is just French for English horn. Right. Which is more of a tenorish instrument.
Okay.
Right. And then the bass instrument in the oboe family is the bassoon, which we all know and love, right? And then there is a contrabassoon that is like the bassoon, but like anything called contra, it plays an octave below written.
Oh, okay.
That's true for contrabass, contrabass flute, contrabassoon. Anything called contra, that's what you're talking about.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that is the lowest instrument. Lower than bass, lower than contrabass, lower
That is technically the lowest instrument in the standard orchestra. In its lower notes, you can almost count the vibrations. You can almost hear it go ba 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 ba. It's just so low.
I bet you can really feel that in your belly if you're up there playing it.
Oh yeah.
I bet that's awesome.
I mean, it's vibrating against a wooden stage floor too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is actually a great instrument that I actually love a lot.
That's one of the things I enjoy the most about playing the cello is having it up against your body and feeling it vibrate.
You can totally feel those vibrations. Absolutely. Something that I should mention about the oboe. So the flute, we all kind of know how the flute works, right? But you blow through a mouthpiece that sort of splits that column of air, right? So it's the same scientific principle as blowing across the top of a glass bottle, right? And that's kind of how they make their sound. The oboe family is actually a family of double reed instruments.
Double reed, huh?
Yeah, so by double reed, what we mean is we basically got two little sticks that are tied together that go into the mouthpiece of this instrument. And as you blow air into these reeds, kind of the way like if you were a kid, you know, we're from the feral Gen X generation. I don't know if kids still do this, but like when we were kids, we would pick up a piece of grass and kind of fold it and.
We were bucolic. That's all the options
we were bucolic, yeah. So it's kind of the same scientific principle. You blow into this reed like that and it goes, but you can actually once this reed is stuck into the instrument, into this long oboe, it vibrates the air inside of the oboe, and then that's how the sound comes out. It's double reed because it's got two of these sticks that are stuck together and they're just kind of flapping together. So that is the oboe family.
Mm-hmm.
Next, there is the clarinet family.
Okay.
So the clarinet family includes all versions of clarinet in, by which I mean there's a clarinet in C,
Oh, okay.
there's a clarinet in D, the clarinet in E flat, the clarinet in B flat, and the clarinet in A, right?
Mm-hmm.
It also includes what we call the alto clarinet, which I believe is a B flat instrument. I always get this wrong. Somebody's going to have to come in and correct me because I always get this wrong. The alto clarinet is an E flat instrument, I think. The bass clarinet is a B flat instrument. The contrabass clarinet, again, anything we talk about contra means it plays an octave down.
So B flat.
Yeah, so it actually plays more than that because it's a B flat instrument. And we will talk about what that means, what B flat instrument means. We'll get into that in a second.
Transposing instruments.
The transposing instrument.
Yeah.
And all of these instruments are single reeds.
Okay.
So rather than having the two sticks tied together, they just kind of have the one. And it just vibrates inside of the clarinet. But otherwise, it's the same sort of principle. That little thin, like 1-inch little strip of wood kind of goes into the mouthpiece, and you blow on that and vibrate that piece of wood, and that vibrates inside the instrument and stirs the air, creating the sound of a clarinet. So single reed instrument.
So clarinet being single reed, and you said oboe is double reed? No.
Oboe is double reed, yeah.
So is there a timbral difference? Is there a
Absolutely.
reason? Why would they have double versus what's the difference?
So it is largely a timbral difference. So the oboe gets its, not just the oboe, but the oboe and the oboe d'amore and the English horn and the bassoon, all double reeds. They get their sort of more nasally, sort of sharper timbre from this property of being double reed instruments. Whereas the single reed clarinets tend to be more sine wavy, more warm.
Okay. So like maybe some of the higher overtones are more pronounced in the double reed instruments.
Yeah, that's one good way to talk about it.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
A little more shrill or nasal or
a little more nasal.
Brighter.
Can
probably cut through some things.
Yeah, I always think of it as just sharper. It's like sharp cheddar cheese versus mild cheddar cheese, right?
Yeah. But you have to be careful then because someone's gonna be like, "Hey, sharper means higher." So
yeah, no, we don't mean harper. Sorry, we don't mean higher. Yeah, we mean
think of cheese.
Yeah, think of cheese. Think of the sharper cheese. Right?
Parmesan sharp.
Yeah. Romano very sharp.
Harvati not so much.
Yeah, provolone not so much. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love these food analogies.
I know, right? We need to do that more often. And then the last one is the saxophone family. And you may be thinking, well, the saxophone is brass. Yes.
Yeah.
But they were not always. And we still consider them a, quote, woodwind because they are single reed instruments just like the clarinet. In fact, their valve mechanisms are set up exactly the same way as the clarinets, to the extent that someone who plays clarinet also plays saxophone and vice versa.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Makes it real easy. They are soprano, alto, tenor, and bari saxes, and they are increasingly bigger and deeper as you go down. A soprano sax is actually very tiny. It can almost look kind of comical, little thing.
Like someone took a shrink ray to it.
Yeah. The alto sax is probably what you think of when you picture a saxophone.
Okay.
Either that or a tenor, which is just slightly bigger, right? And then the bari sax is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right. And they're all kind of shaped, kind of, they come down and they dip up, and the horn, the bell is sort of facing outward. We've all kind of seen a saxophone before. Single reed instrument, just like a clarinet, and the keys are arranged just like a clarinet.
Now, of course, so that's the main families, right?
Those are the main families. Yeah.
And just so you know that we did do an episode on woodwinds, just kind of a general on how instrument care, and also I think we did one on just woodwinds.
Yeah.
So we talked in more detail about all these things.
We did.
The construction and cleaning them and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now we're talking about how they all blend together, how to put them all together, right?
Yeah, right. And sort of the basics of how to orchestrate with them.
Yeah. So rather than send you on a wild goose chase through our podcast, 154 episodes, we'll just have it all here for one-stop shopping.
Yeah, there you go.
Talk about these instruments a bit.
There you go. Yeah, and see our episodes on winds and wind instrument care, for much more detail on their specific construction and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I mentioned that the clarinet family, there's clarinets in C and D and E flat and B flat. The saxophones too, the sopranos in E flat, and then the altos are B flat, and the tenors in E flat, and the barries are B flat.
Mm-hmm.
I may have gotten that backwards. Somebody please correct me. I always get those mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's either that or the reverse. So yeah,
50-50 chance.
50-50 chance. What we mean by that, by a B flat instrument, is that this is a transposing instrument.
Like a self-transposing instrument?
Like a self-transposing instrument, yeah. So to understand these instruments, we're going to need to understand this principle of transposition. Not transposing as we have talked about it before in the theory way, kind of, sort of, whereas in the theory way, we say, all right, we're going to transpose this up a major second. When we're talking about transposing instruments, it's like that, sort of, but what's happening is these instruments are themselves transposed.
Cool, yeah, okay.
Right? I'll try to explain what I mean.
Pre-transposed.
Yes. So, back in the day, back before we had valves, right, so we could play chromatic, play any note fairly easily, the holes were just drilled directly into the wood, and you just literally covered them with your fingers, right? And that meant that you really could only play in 2 or 3, 5 at the outside different keys easily. To play anything else, it would get gradually harder and harder and harder, and you'd have to half cover some holes, and it'd be kind of a mess.
Oh, yeah.
So what composers would do would just be to write all wind music in C and say, okay, pick up your B-flat recorder. And then you would be playing in C, but because the recorder was the right length and the holes were the right distances apart, it would actually be B-flat. Yeah. So, you just sort of, they would, the score would tell you which transposition you needed, right? And you would pick up the correct one, which was automatically, via its construction, transposing into the key you needed.
At the end of this discussion, we're going to talk about why I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. But continue, please. Continue.
Okay. So, modern wind instruments evolve out of that. So, today's transposing instruments produce different pitches from what is written on the score. And it is often up to the arranger / composer / whoever to transpose the music properly so that the wind player can finger the instrument naturally and play the correct notes. So, if you write, if you ignore this and just write notes, and then your clarinetist picks up a B-flat clarinet, he's going to be a major second below what you wrote the whole time, and that's going to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
So we need to understand this. So here goes.
Okay.
If you were talking about a C instrument,
Yes.
that means what you see is what you get.
My guitar, the piano, bass,
All C
violin,
instruments.
string instruments.
All string instruments.
They're all considered C instruments.
Yeah. You could make a slight exception, I guess, for the contrabass, which you would get the C below what is written on the score, right? That's what contra means. But it's still C.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So that is what it means to be a C instrument.
So far, so good.
Yeah. For any other instrument, what it means is how far removed from C the sounding notes are. So, for example, a B-flat clarinet, if you see the note C on the score
Yes.
and the clarinetist plays C, the note that will come out of the B flat is B flat. Right?
Yeah.
That will come out of the B flat clarinet is B flat.
So the written note is C, the sounding note is B flat.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you played a D on this instrument, written note D, then what is the sounding note?
C?
You got it.
Because
right?
it's a major second down.
Yes.
Okay.
If you play the note A flat on this instrument, written note A flat, what's the sounding note?
On a B flat instrument?
Yes.
I'm singing A flat.
If you're singing A flat, written note, what note is going to come out of a B flat clarinet?
Oh, okay, I got it. So that'll be a G flat.
That's going to be a G flat.
Okay.
There you go. Nice and simple, right?
Here's a question.
Uh-huh.
And I think I already know the answer, but maybe other people are wondering about it. Sure. Does that mean that a B flat, a person who's playing a B flat instrument, they don't have to learn any other keys? They're just reading C, the key of C, no sharps, no flats.
Well, no, because this transposition thing also relates to the key you're playing in.
Aha.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had written a piece in the key of B flat, then the key signature for your B flat clarinet would actually be no sharps or flats. So it would actually be the key signature of C, right? He's going to play everything up that major second. So the key signature has to go up that major second too.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. This is where it gets complicated.
This is where it gets... I mean, the clarinetist is going to sit down and say, okay, I'm playing in C. C is easy, right? They're not going to have to worry about it. You, the composer or arranger or transcriber, whatever, is the one who's going to have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So you need to know how this works.
You got to do the mental gymnastics.
Right,
to make this happen, yeah.
Yeah. What I always like to remember is to get a good sense of the written pitch versus the sounding pitch, right? So let's do another example. The English horn, actually. The English horn is an F instrument.
Okay.
So when you see the written note C and play the written note C, the note that's going to come out of the English horn is a perfect fifth below that.
Okay.
It is F.
Yes.
Right? So if you play A, then the note that's going to sound is D. If you play G, the note that's going to sound is C.
Got it.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Also, their key signatures come down a perfect fifth. Yeah. So what I like to do is always get a good sense of written note versus sounding note. And they're a perfect fifth apart on the English horn, right?
A perfect fourth, right?
Perfect fifth.
Well, perfect fifth down, but perfect fourth up.
Perfect fifth down, but perfect fourth up. But in this case, I think it's more helpful to really think of it as perfect fifth down because it literally is a perfect fifth lower.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's not a time where I could just use my interval relationship.
I mean, if you're mentally agile enough to do that, to go a perfect fourth up and then drop it an octave to understand what's going on.
Unnecessary stuff, though.
Right, yeah. So there you go. So just keep that in mind. So like if you're looking at, I'll do yet another example. The clarinet in A, minor third below written, right? So if you're looking at a score, and you're looking at the clarinet in A part, the A clarinet part, and you see what's a good one, E flat, then you need to know that the note that's actually coming out is C. Right? Very, very important if you're ever a theorist analyzing orchestra scores. You'll drive yourself nuts if you don't understand this.
Lord. Yeah.
So if you're looking at the note, you need, then it's E flat, then the note that's coming out of your A clarinet is C. If you're writing and you want your A clarinet to play the note F sharp, you need to write the note A, right? Because written is a minor third above sounding.
Boy,
you got to keep that mental distance. Get the mental image of written sounding and the distance between them in the direction, right? Because the easiest thing to do is to go the wrong way. But that is the easiest thing to do.
Is this a situation where there's this convention that came out a long time ago for a certain reason because they didn't have the resources or the knowledge to do something that they could have done today, where you could just have
I entirely agree with you, and I don't know what to tell you. Yes, why can't they all just be C instruments now?
Okay, yeah. So there's not really a proper explanation for that, or that we can get into within a decent amount of time.
I suppose I could speculate.
Because you've done a pretty good job so far of explaining it, I think.
Yeah. There is a timbral difference. So if you tried to make an English horn in C, it would probably not sound quite the way, an F English horn does. And some would almost certainly argue that it doesn't sound as good. And what they really want is an F English horn.
Because certain timbres change once you reach certain ranges, once you cross over certain ranges.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason there is a clarinet in B flat and a clarinet in A is because flat keys are much easier to play on a B flat clarinet, and sharp keys are much easier to play on an A clarinet.
Okay, so give me some sharp keys, I'll bust out my A clarinet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. If I'm playing an A major, I probably want a clarinet in A because that's just going to be C, right? That's going to be super easy.
Less mental gymnastics.
Yeah. If you made everything C, it might be. Also, some of these things actually play pretty low, or they play in a tenor range or something like that. And the English horn, again, is a good example. Like, it would just be playing ledger lines like 90% of the time, right? That's obnoxious.
Yeah.
But because it transposes, if you transpose from F, then the actual note you're seeing is a perfect fifth above that. Now it's in the middle of the staff where it's fairly easy to read, right?
Yeah, to me, any note beyond 2 ledger lines is obnoxious.
Right, yeah. So, like, your per English horn player would be playing, 3 or 4 ledger lines half the time.
Ugh.
Otherwise, but when you do the transposing thing, they're nice up and in the treble clef, and it's okay.
Okay, so there's a little bit of utilitarian good.
There's a little bit of utilitarian good, yeah.
Use for this kind of thing.
Yeah. Everybody feels that way. It's like, oh man, why can't they? Because they play chromatically anyway now. Why can't they just all be C? And if you're using a notation software, if you're using anyone that's even remotely worth its salt, it does this for you, right?
That's beautiful.
You can write what we call a C score, which is a non-transposed everything in C.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you want your C score to become transposing, you just click a button and it auto transposes, changes the key signature and everything. That's what Sibelius does, Dorico, Mu score.
Do you take advantage of this technology, or do you just used to deal with?
100% I take advantage of this. So back when I was young and very proud of myself, I used to take pride in just leaving it transposed and just transposing in my head.
Yeah, right.
Then I got into writing polytonal stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I'm in this key, but then, this is the original key, but this is my polytonal key, but then, so I got to get the chord that's up, but then I got to transpose the polytonal chord, and it just got too much, and so now I want 100% take advantage of this.
I think that would make me want to scream into a pillow.
Yeah. Yeah, accurate.
You have screamed into a pillow or two in your day?
Yes, yeah. And now it's like, no, look, let me just spend mental energy on writing music. This is I'm old and I don't have that much left. So let's just write it in C and transpose.
Parse out your bandwidth accordingly.
Yes. But I do understand this principle, and that is very, very important.
Yeah, totally.
Like I said, if you're trying to look at an orchestra score and understand what's going on when that orchestra score is transposed, if you don't understand how this works, this is going to drive you nuts because it's going to look like it just doesn't. We kind of had a little bit, this kind of confusion in our last listener composition episodes, right? Because we had transposed brass instruments, and we were kind of having to figure out what note we were really hearing to be able to analyze and know what chord we're listening to here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There is that, the principle of transposition.
Okay, so that's the idea of transposition. And
that is the idea.
And transposing instruments.
That is the idea.
And why in God's name they do that. So what are we moving on to now?
So we can talk about some playing techniques. Things that the woodwind instruments are very, very good at.
Kind of like effects.
Kind of like effects or different kinds of performance ideas, things that make the difference between just playing flat, dull notes and making it sound very musical, right? So, for example, vibrato.
Okay.
which woodwinds achieve by moving the jaw as they blow into their instrument, or by moving the throat muscles, or in the case of some instruments, even abdominal muscles or various combinations thereof, to create a vibration effect on the given note.
Like a wavering kind of thing. It's interesting because on string instruments, anytime you see the guitarist or the string player do that thing where they wiggle their hand back and forth.
Yeah, that's vibrato. Yeah.
And instead of going woo, it'll go woo, 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 kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to actually listen to that.
Let's listen to that.
And before we do that, you mentioned this in passing just earlier, Matt, and you might have mentioned it a while ago, but we're in a band together.
We are in a band together.
Me and Matt are in a band together.
For the first time ever, and neither of us are playing bass.
Isn't that funny? So it's Matt on guitar.
Yes.
I play an octave mandolin, and sometimes I pass it off as a bouzouki because it sounds cooler, but it's basically technically an octave mandolin.
Yes.
And then we have this fella, Sharon. Matt's
playing harp.
Lovely wife playing harp and singing.
My lovely wife.
And then we have a fella named Dave Ricker.
Yeah.
Who's a percussionist.
Playing the cajon and the djembe.
I call Dave Matt's other Italian brother from another mother. Of course, I'm the Italian brother from another mother supreme.
Absolutely. The OG Italian brother from another mother.
But Dave's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, he's good.
And then we have our dear Emily Zhang.
Yeah.
Who plays
oboe.
Who plays the oboe. And so we had a band practice last night, and she was kind enough to share some of these examples with us.
Yes.
Now, as Matt mentioned, when I asked him about it, there are some of these effects that the oboe cannot physically pull off.
Yeah,
But we got a good number of them, huh?
We did get a good number of them, and it'd be very good to hear an actual woodwind instrument playing these.
Okay, so first off, she's just going to play a straight tone, right?
Yeah, she is just going to play a straight oboe tone.
So here she is playing just a normal straight tone, no effects, no techniques.
Right.
Straight as an arrow.
Yep, and you can sort of hear that particular oboe timbre too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the oboe. That's the sound of the oboe.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned vibrato.
Vibrato, yes.
So see if you can hear the difference between that straight tone and what she does now. Yeah, you could especially hear it towards the end. You could hear that kind of wavering.
Yeah, that kind of wah 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 in the absolutely. So that is vibrato.
Okay.
If you wish for your woodwind player, and so flute, oboe, clarinet, they all can do vibrato.
Mm-hmm.
If you wish for them to not do vibrato, play a tone more like that first straight one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can write in your score senza vibrato.
Senza, without vibrato.
Without vibrato.
Okay.
Yeah. To have them start playing with vibrato again, you can either write con vibrato with vibrato, or you can just write ord, O-R-D period.
What is that?
It is short for ordinary.
Ordinary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you write nothing regarding vibrato whatsoever, most wind players will play with an amount of vibrato that they feel like is natural and aesthetically pleasing.
Okay. It's just part of it.
It's just part of playing their instrument.
Yeah. Part of giving it more personality.
Yeah.
If you played all straight tunes the whole time, it would just sound kind of
flat.
Yeah.
I keep saying sharp and flat when those things mean. It would start sounding kind of dull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of dull, kind of lifeless, kind of unemotional.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else you got there?
So then we move on to tonguing.
Tonguing.
No Snickers.
Right. Hey, the people that sniggered the most about it were the Sharon and Dave.
Absolutely.
We were trying to be mature about this.
We were trying to be mature about this.
And not listen to us. So tonguing.
So tonguing is moving the tongue on the note as you play it, sort of a t kind of emotion.
It's kind of like adding an attack to each note.
Kind of like adding an attack, and that's really exactly what it does. It adds a sense of definition and attack to a note as you play it.
Mm-hmm. So first we got Emily just to play us an example of a walk up and down the first 5 notes of the major scale.
Yes.
And this is without tonguing.
Okay.
This is a straight scale. you can still hear the separation between the notes, but they seem a little more connected.
They seem to flow one from the other because she's just blowing an air and moving keys.
When compared to this.
Yeah, so all of those notes were tongued, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Ta, 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 ta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's the tonguing technique.
Yeah. So these things are designated in your score by the use of slurs.
I see.
If you remember back to our discussion on strings, you'll remember that in a string instrument, slurs mean bow direction.
Yeah.
All the notes under a particular slur are bowed in one direction, and when there's a new slur, you change directions and bow back up the other way.
That's useful.
Yeah. In wind instruments, slurs generally refer to tonguing. So you will tongue the first note of the notes under a slur, and then the subsequent notes will not be tongued.
I see.
Until the first note of the next group that's under a slur.
Interesting.
So, if we had written out Emily's playing of those 5 notes there, the tongued version, there would be no slurs in our transcription.
Mm-hmm.
And in the original legato version, there would have been a slur over all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and these start to sort of create phrases, right? So when you start slurring in a particular way and tonguing in particular places, then you start getting a sense of melodic definition. Your melody starts getting sort of naturally sound like it's getting divided up into phrases.
Yeah.
Right? So being good and intuitive and creative about the instrument is knowing when what notes to put under a slur, so you're sort of accentuating the phrasing of the music.
So maybe if you compare it to writing a sentence or a paragraph, like when you hit that period, that's the end of the slur, and then the capital letter of the next sentence is where you put the tongue.
Exactly. And you don't want run-on sentences.
No one wants
Yeah,
that.
you want to have them tongue a little eventually. And you do occasionally want them to stop playing altogether for a second or two so that they can breathe.
That's true.
Wind players do like to breathe.
They have a cool term for that, we learned, didn't we? They
Yes.
need time off the face.
Time off the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
which is Emily's phrase for "I need to stop playing and breathe for a little while, please. Thank you."
Exactly, yeah.
So there is that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is staccato.
Which we talked about way early on, right?
Yes,
Staccato
we did.
versus legato.
Yeah, staccato is also a technique that string instruments do. It's a technique that most any instrument can do, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's designated by the little dot directly above the note on the score. And that just means to articulate the note very shortly.
Yeah, okay.
So it's da rather than ba, right? Don't hold out for the note's entire rhythmic value. Just hit a quick little one.
Let's listen to what that sounds like
Yes.
when our good Emily does it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Staccato notes.
So yeah, so now let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
With the original scale she did
Mm-hmm.
before the tonguing and before staccato,
Yeah.
would that be considered legato?
That would be. I would consider that legato. Yeah.
Okay, and also slurred within a slur, but also
And also, I would call that slurred. Yeah.
it can be two things at once.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So that's staccato, and
Yep.
we've done this all. We all do this on our instruments, you know.
Oh yeah,
There's
absolutely.
different techniques to make it happen. Even the piano, you could show us a quick thing on.
Oh yeah, sure. So same thing on the piano. So legato notes.
Mm-hmm.
Staccato notes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Now back into tonguing a little bit because there's different types.
There's different types of tonguing, and some of these are the kind of things that you might want to just let your wind player decide to do or not do based on context, unless you're just really, really looking for something specific, because it really gets into the proper playing of their instruments and what's really going to sound good on a given piece of music in a given passage, given context, whatever.
With subtle differences between the types of.
With subtle difference, yes. We talk sometimes about soft tonguing, which is a sort of undistinguished kind of tonguing where you really just barely do it. You really just barely separate the same notes, and it's often used for if there are two notes that are repeated but they're under a slur. So rather than make 2 repeated eighth notes just into a quarter note, which you would otherwise have to do, you kind of, and kind of gradually distinguish between them.
So is it almost like splitting the difference between tonguing and slurring?
Sort of like splitting the difference, yeah.
Okay. So it's just a softer, more delicate.
Yeah, tongue without making it sound like you're tonguing.
Got it.
Like Han Solo would just say "fly casual."
And then
tongue the note, Chewie, but don't sound like you're tonguing the note.
Yeah, right. That's a very subtle thing, huh?
Yeah.
And then double tonguing. What's this all about?
Double tonguing is used for very fast passages. Mm-hmm. So, in a really, really fast tongue passage, you go, yeah. I can't actually do it.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for Emily to do it on the oboe because it's more of a flute or a clarinet kind of thing than a double reed kind of thing.
And is that the same case with the flutter tongue?
Yes. Well, so it's the same case with the double tonguing was the triple tonguing. Yeah, I can't do it. Someone play demonstrate. But that's used for like fast triplet passages. You can actually they will actually triple tongue again, unless that is really what you want, right? Maybe just let your wind player decide whether they want a triple tongue or double tongue or not.
Okay. Yeah.
The flutter tongue is actually Emily could not flutter tongue on the oboe. This is purely a flute thing, but you really just kind of go as you're blowing across the mouthpiece, and it gets this very great tremolo, fluttery kind of thing that happens. I actually have a good example of this. One of my older compositions, which was for flute and congas, has a great example of some flutter tonguing.
Flute and congas, how cool!
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure if I've heard that one yet.
Yeah, it's an old one.
Maybe that can be our intro music. Maybe that can be our bumper music.
Maybe so.
Can we listen to it?
Yes.
Okay, so there it is.
There it is.
Okay, so tell us what we're listening to.
We are listening to an example of flutter tonguing.
All right, let's hear it. Yes, I can definitely tell that there was some fluttering going on there.
Yeah, very fluttery.
It almost sounds like they put it through an effects pedal of some kind.
Almost it does.
Well done.
Thanks.
Tell your flautist I said that too.
I will.
Do you remember who it was?
It was I do remember what it was. Sally White.
Okay. Shout out to
Noah
Sally.
White's wife.
Noah White's wife.
Yeah.
Noah White was our recording technology professor at
Yes.
UAB.
Yeah. And beautiful congas played beautifully by Laura Noah.
Hey, not his daughter? No, that's Noah. That's White.
Yeah, no, totally different person.
That's confusing.
Very good percussionist.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what else have we got for these effects? That was a flutter tongue.
The flutter tongue. Oh, and by the way, to put that into the score, you can either use tremolo slashes. Or you can write FLTG period on top of the note.
FLTG.
Yeah, okay. Abbreviation for flutter tongue. Or you can write flutter tongue. Or you can write Flatterzunge, which is German for flutter tongue.
If you want to get fancy.
All
right.
Yeah. So flutter tonguing. Glissandi. So glissandi are actually most effective either on a clarinet or a saxophone. The oboe kind of did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually we're talking about a chromatic glissandi, but you can also do a pitch slide by about a major second by kind of bending the reed. But your wind player will actually not always appreciate you suggesting they bend their reed.
Oh yeah.
Because you should hear some stories sometimes about being in the reed making room that every university has for their reed players and having to strap these sticks together and carve them out and everything.
No kidding.
Just a whole lot of them at a time, making 50 to 100.
Or they just buy them in
there
bulk
for a couple hours
and size them themselves.
Yeah, size them just right. Yeah, so it's a whole different art making your reeds. It's a whole art separate from actually playing the instrument. It's crazy.
Oh, even watching Emily, what the care she takes into maintaining it and keeping it. Like she goes and brushes her teeth like halfway through the practice.
Yeah. To keep stuff off her reed. Yeah. Has a little shot glass of water. She keeps it in.
Yeah, I saw that. At first I was like, Emily, what's she drinking over there?
Yeah.
So cool. So she tried to do glissandi for us, but
Right.
you're going to hear at the end how she wasn't very satisfied
Right.
with what she did. Here's her attempts at oboe glissandi, just to give you some idea.
That's as glissandi
That
as
sounded
I'm
like
gonna
a
get out of
doozy.
here. Yeah.
No, that's like 16 notes.
I'll keep that part in there. She's like, nah.
Nah.
But it's basically just a kind of it's almost like when guitarists are doing what's called raking,
Yeah.
kind of a little bit, just like do.
Yeah, or almost more like when guitarists do a slide. When guitarists and bassists do a slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is the more traditional idea of a glissandi. Obviously, a technique much better designed for trombones, for example, or harps. Harps make a living on glissandi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah. So you can also do this thing called key clicking,
Yeah.
which is just slapping the keys to make some noise. It's kind of a modernist technique. You don't actually blow in the air into the instrument. You just kind of
Almost
rattle
like-
the keys.
It's like a percussive. She showed us that, but I forgot to record it.
Yeah,
So-
kind of a
But it sounded
percussive
like
things.
this.
Yeah. Something that I've done before actually is you can blow air without producing a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Again, easier on a clarinet because you've only got one reed.
Mm-hmm.
But you can blow air through it in such a way that you're not actually vibrating the reed, so it just kind of makes this hollow wind blowy sound. It's like a wind effect.
That sounds like it'd almost be more difficult than to get a pure tone.
In some ways, it is. Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah.
We'll ask Emily about that too.
Yeah. And then flutes at least can do harmonics, similar to the way a guitar can do harmonics, by subtly shifting the what do you call it? Like the
Rotating.
yeah, by rotating the flute.
Mhm.
Or, the shifting its radial
The
position.
fipple, the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so the mouthpiece changes exactly where it is in proportion to your lips.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just subtly do that, and you'll hit a harmonic, usually the first or second partial above the fundamental of the note that you have fingered with the fingering things.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do that a lot too.
Yeah. You compose for that.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm a fan of harmonics. Just am.
Yeah. So that's a good robust part one, I think.
That's a good, yeah. Hopefully you learned a little something about woodwinds and how they work in an orchestra. You'll learn more as we continue.
And do you want to do a quick recap of this?
Yeah, quick recap. So we're talking about woodwinds,
Mhm.
which are instruments that produce musical tones through vibrating columns of air. You're blowing onto a mouthpiece, which disturbs the air inside of a long hollow tube, traditionally made of wood.
Mm-hmm.
With a couple of exceptions. And you are pressing down on keys, which cover up holes in that wood in specific parts to change the length of the column of air, thereby changing the note.
Mm-hmm.
These instruments can play chromatically, and they're very, very acrobatic. They can play really fast passages, jumping all around in 30-second notes, whatever, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 big families.
Mhm.
The flute family, which includes piccolo, flute, alto flute, bass flute,
Mhm.
and other things. The oboe family, which includes oboe, oboe d'amore, English horn, aka the cor anglais, and the bassoon and contrabassoon.
Mm-hmm.
These are double reed instruments, so they actually have 2 reeds strapped together, and they're flapping up against each other inside of the instrument.
Resulting in a brighter timbre and more kind of nasally or squealy.
Yeah, right, exactly. The clarinet family, which includes all clarinets in, clarinet in C, clarinet in D, clarinet in E flat, clarinet in B flat, clarinet in A, and there are even others.
The transposing
The
instruments.
transposing
that
instruments.
they are.
And then this saxophone family, which includes the soprano, alto, tenor, and bari saxes, which are identical in key mechanisms to the clarinet.
And very short for baritone.
Yeah, and all of the clarinet and saxophones are all single reeds, only one reed going in there.
And they do sound a little smoother. They sound a little rounder.
They sound a little rounder and smoother.
Yeah. Mellow.
We discussed the principle of transposition, in which if you see the note C on the score, but that note is played on a clarinet in B flat, the note you will get is B flat, right? So the instrument's name designates the level of transposition away from a C score that you're dealing with. So you really have to understand the written score versus the sounding score every time you're dealing with these instruments, right? And sort of get good with that. Also applies to their key signatures,
Yeah.
right? And then we talked about some playing techniques, vibrato, with a little wavery kind of sound. Yeah, we talked about tonguing and how, and how, the first note under a group of notes that is slurred together is tongued, whereas the rest are not, right? If there's no slur, everything is tongued. We gave an example of staccato. We gave an example. We didn't give an example. We talked a little about soft tonguing, which is just tonguing a little bit, and then double and triple tonguing, which is used for fast passages. Kind of let your player decide when they want to do this, unless you just really want something specific. We talked about flutter tongue. Got to hear one of my really old compositions back when I was a modernist, or pretending to be one anyway. And then we talked about glissande, kind of sliding up the notes, key clicking, just clacking the keys together, blowing air through without producing a pitch, which is called wind tones, and the fact that flutes can actually do harmonics by suddenly rotating the radio position of the instrument.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the mechanics, a little bit about
what they can do and how they can play.
Exactly, and the sounds of them, timbres and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
On part 2, we're going to get into, which I think we'll just do these back to back like we did strings.
Yeah, I'll probably just do these back to back.
Part 2, we're going to get into the actual woodwind section, the balances between the numbers of these instruments.
Yes, and what they sound like played together, and how to deal with them in the orchestral context.
Blending suggestions, more or less.
Blending suggestions, yeah. We got lots of good stuff coming up.
Scoring, we'll talk about and then we'll talk about the individual instruments themselves a little bit too.
Yes.
With more detail.
In more detail.
All right. So we hope you enjoyed that.
Indeed.
And we'll see you again for part 2, which will be episode 155.
Can't wait.
Getting up there, yeah. Peace, love, and music.
Well, we covered a lot of ground, but there's still another episode's worth to say about woodwinds. So stay tuned for part 2. If you wish to support us financially, check out the donate page on our website, musicstudent101.com. There, you will also find a link to our merchandise on redbubble.com. If you find this podcast helpful, like, subscribe, and share with musically curious friends. And for questions or comments, write to us at info@musicstudent101.com.